Ladies and gentlemen, welcome all back to the show, Just My Thoughts. I'm your host, as always, Eric Daniel Coughlin. And if you can remember, if you've been keeping up with what we've been doing, we've been running through the NBA free agency, and we're still not done. I had to take a break because, full disclosure, I just had to take a step away from sports, and I dived into some movies. I've been watching some movies here lately. I stumbled on a show as I've been waiting on shows. I stumbled onto a show that I would spend like 4 days on. Um, so that's where I've been doing research in other fields. How you doing? So we're going to get back into the NBA free agency. We're going to the Eastern Conference yet again as the Southeastern Division. It's the division of the Magic, Orlando Magic, the Charlotte Hornets, the Washington Wizards, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Miami Heat. That's that division. So full disclosure, no one's really making noise in this division. A lot of reasons for that is pretty much everybody's tapped out of cap. There's primarily two teams that got cap, but they're kind of waiting around to next year to make their move. This year, Eastern Conference champions Miami Heat are holding on to cap for a huge franchise changing player. They've already made their statements. Jimmy Butler's been ranted about winning a championship, so he wants championship player teammate. So they're sitting on cap. They're probably the richest team in this division, given the fact that last last 3 years they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals twice. So just keep that in mind. They got a buttload of cap, but they're not going to sign anybody unless it's a landscaping sign. So that being said, let's get started. We're going to start with the Orlando Magic. What they have done. Orlando Magic extended Mortis Wagner 2 years, 16 million. Now that's not Franz Wagner. That is Mortis Wagner. Mortis is a little bit older than Franz, but they are related of some sort. I'm not sure if they're brothers. I'm not sure if they're cousins. I know that they are of the same bloodline, and they both came from European ball. I'm pretty sure they're brothers. Pretty sure they played in the same organization, and now they're again playing in the same organization. But this time it's for United States Orlando Magic, so that's a very good sign by them. They picked up Joe Ingles, 2 years, 22 million from Milwaukee Bucks, but Joe Ingles has kind of been around the league. Joe Ingles has been a Detroit Piston, a Milwaukee Buck, and I want to say he's been something else somewhere. He's been in the league over a decade. I'd say that for sure. And they signed their rookie early, Admiral Schofield. They went ahead and signed 1 year, 3 million. So they're probably looking to use him in the injury reserve situation. Maybe even give him a shot to grow with this young group of talent. You got to think Franz Wagner's young, coming off his rookie deal. He'll be a free agent this year. They got to worry about Wendell Carter Jr. coming up as a free agent this year. They just kept Mortis for kind of cheap. So this is the team that has money, but wait until next year. I told you there's guys that got money. These guys got money, but they're not gonna do nothing until they make sure they know who they want to be. If they mess around and get in a play-in position, if they break a playoff drought, even if it's just in the play-in, I'd say the whole team gets re-signed. I'd say they're going to go salary cap broke next offseason. But this offseason, they're kind of just making the moves that they have to stay relevant and possibly make play-in position this offseason or postseason. So that being said, now moving on to the Charlotte Hornets, who are tapped out broke. This is the reason why. So they signed, LaMelo Ball, 5 years, $206 million contract. So that's pretty much where all their money went. And they scraped change and they kept Miles Bridges for 1 year, 8 million, but they promised him a opportunity to be a franchise player. So this is the deal. If he plays all 82 games this year, if he somewhere floats in averaging a double double. Now, I'm not saying he has to get 82 double doubles, but at like 50 this year would be great for him. Then he's probably going to get a big bag, but it's not as big as he would like. Maybe 4 year, 84 million. Finally getting out of that contract situation. They had high hopes. He got hurt. Then when he come back, he had attitude. This is a guy that's trying hard to find his spot, and he may can do it. They're giving him the opportunity to. So, good luck to the Hornets, but this is where I see them. I see them probably weaker than Orlando Magic, and I said Orlando Magic's a play-in spot. So, maybe the Hornets could be in a play-in spot, but they're going to have to fight their asses off for it. And I say their competition is really going to be tough to do that. The reason being, like I said, I like everything Orlando's done. They're just young. give them time, and they're going to be shining. Same thing with OKC. They're young, but they've given time. This has been the same team 3 or 4 seasons in a row. So this year, whenever they're like third in their fucking division, all I can say is I told you so. And I think Orlando Magic's trying to do the same exact thing. So I tip my hat to them. I think they're doing a good job. All right, moving forward to the Washington Wizards. This team is completely rebuilt. They got their big three. They think they got their big three is going to be Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, and Danilo Gallinari. Now, outside thinking it or looking in, I think they did really good this offseason. They everything that they did almost was via trade, which means they didn't have to really lose no money to get valuable players like a guy like Jordan Poole that after this year become a free agent, but gives an opportunity to show the whole entire league, especially Washington, that he is a franchise kind of guy, that he can be in the top 25, point guards, that he can average a double double, that he can prove that he is everything that he thinks he is, and if he does so, he'll get rightfully paid. Same thing with Danilo Gallinari. He's kind of been around the league. Gallinari, I think, played for the Magic, and then I think somehow Gallinari ended up in Orlando or Atlanta, and I also think Gallinari end up being a Spur. Like he's been around the league, and that's the problem with him. But now he's in a situation with a brand new team, with a brand new rebuild, and they're actually looking to give him a starting spot. Because he is talented, because he's 6'9", he's 215 pounds. He can play small forward, power forward. A dual player, respectable defensive player, very respectable 3-point shooter. If you leave this guy open, he's gonna shoot the freaking gym off and really beat you by himself if you leave him open. I think Washington Wizards have a very good-looking roster this year. I think they're going to shock everybody as how competitive they can be, and I think really fighting for that eighth seed playoff spot. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington Wizards are down there. I'm not talking about the play-in. I'm talking about the playoffs. I'm talking about the eighth spot, that last little seed. The East really kind of changed a lot. The landscaping of the East has changed a lot. The power of the East has changed a lot. And Washington got a little bit pretty good. They kind of re-landscaped pretty well. So, like I said, I think they're going to be contending for a playoff spot. Good job, Washington Wizards. And congratulations by getting rid of Bradley Beal, by the way. Good job. And now we are talking about the Miami Heat. So they've done a little bit of stuff that kind of makes sense. And they kind of got a shit ton of money, and they're really not spending none. And it kind of all makes sense. But this is what they decided to do so far that I absolutely thought I have to tip my hat to them. They knew coming into this, absolutely no questions asked. Bam Adebayo needs help. So what did they do? Signed Thomas Bryant to a 2-year, $10 million deal. They got that guy for $5 million a year. And this guy can play. This guy's going to play. You better believe Miami's going to take this $10 million player and work his freaking ass off. You better believe that. And he's going to be proud to do it because he's getting to play with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. So sky's the limit for that kid and his production. Even if he comes off the bench, he's going to be coming off the bench hungry as a horse. And I don't think that's the case. If they don't get nobody more talented than Thomas Bryant, I think Thomas Bryant fucks around and gets a starting job at the center spot for the Miami Heat. But I said that's if. Okay. This is also what they've done. They let Kevin Love stick around, 2-year, $8 million, pretty much finish your career, retire, and enjoy your life in Miami. That's what they've done for Kevin Love. Well deserved. Kevin Love's been a hell of a power forward for 13 years, maybe even 15 years. This guy's been in the league and he's been relevant and he's been good. He deserves a nice $8 million retirement check. So good job for Kevin Love. And then they got Josh Richardson, a guy that they drafted years ago, and then they ended up trading. And now it's looking like they're going to be trading Duncan Robinson, and it looks like they're going to be trading Tyler Hero, who everyone thought, the stepping stones of their rebuild. Those players that were supposed to be stepping stones of the rebuild are actually going out the door, and Jimmy Butler's sticking around for championship material. So they got Josh Richardson come back into town, 2 years, $6 million. That's crazy. I don't know how Josh Richardson is making rookie money because he's been in the league for like 8 years. I don't know how that happens. There's a lot of things that happen in the NBA that doesn't make sense. This is one of them. But good job from the Miami Heat because I think Josh Richardson brings everything that Duncan Robinson brings to the table. I think primarily the same exact guy. So they're not losing Duncan Robinson, even if they trade Duncan Robinson. Just think about that. And they also decided to keep Orlando Robinson, big boy center, for 2 years, $5 million, because they drafted him, I think, in 2021. He's coming off fresh off of his rookie deal. He signed, his rookie year was 1 year deal, which was at the end of this year, and they extended this rookie deal for 2 more years. So 2 years, $5 million, and he's going to be competing with Thomas Bryant for playing time. They're essentially the same as that guy. Big, tall, beefy, meaty, can do anything dominantly inside the paint. But they are both relatively young, and they're going to be, like I said, they're going to be competing for a starting spot if Miami Heat doesn't do nothing. Now, that being said, Miami Heat has options. So of course they want Damian Lillard. They've been open and very verbal about giving up almost anything that they're willing to ask for. And I think before it's all said and done, that's going to happen. But outside of that, they also have an opportunity to pick up Christian Woods. And I think if they pick up Christian Wood, I think that primarily it gives them a starting center that can average a double-double and that can clean up the paint. It gives Bam a lot of help. It helps everybody, all the ball movers, move around. It helps Jimmy Butler not have to worry about what's going on and strictly play the wing. It keeps Jimmy out of the paint at all times because of Bam and because of Christian Woods, and then because your other two, Thomas Bryant and Orlando Robinson. Even if you wanted to, on the bench, have two centers on the bench and not even play a power forward, that would work out. Thomas Bryant can make that happen. Orlando Robinson can play the center. Bryant can play the power forward. Then you get your little wings out there who are happen to be Josh Richardson, and it's going to be, no one really knows yet. I mean, Caleb Martin's not leaving town. Caleb Martin's still going to be on that team, so I don't know if he's coming off the bench or if he's going to be, a starter. That all depends on what the rest of the Miami Heat wants to do with their money during this off season. So pretty much that's everything that this division has done. Like I said, got people sitting on money, a couple teams sitting on money, and then you got a couple of teams that are spent on everything they've been doing for the last 3 seasons, and it really has to start paying off, or it's going to be destruction of their franchises. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to finish up the NBA free agency today. Right now. Since I just finished up the East for you, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the West for you. It is the Western Conference, but it's the Southwest Division of the Western Conference. That's the Memphis Grizzlies. That is the New Orleans Pelicans. That is the San Antonio Spurs. That's the Dallas Mavericks. And that is the Houston Rockets. And so this division, all in all, has changed a lot. And also, this division has a team that shocked the whole NBA season last year. So they got a target on their back. And it could be arguably said they might have got a little bit better. So let's just start there with the Memphis Grizzlies. So everybody knows Memphis Grizzlies right off the bat. They traded for Marcus Smart, so they didn't really lose no money, and they gained a championship playing point guard to team up with Ja Morant. So essentially what will happen is once Ja Morant's suspension is lifted, he'll come be the point guard, and then obviously Marcus Smart either get put to the bench, or they might decide to make Smart the shooting guard, Desmond Bain small forward, Jerry Jackson Jr. still be your center, and then your power forward be maybe Steven Adams plays power forward for you. Maybe, I'm not huge into Memphis basketball, but also what they also did was picked up Derrick Rose. So Derrick Rose is like a Memphis icon. So he went to, the Memphis Tigers and won a college championship before coming into the NBA. So he already knows about Memphis basketball and the Memphis city, and he's got fans for days. So that's good for the Grizzlies. In general, it's good for their organization. And it's probably good for Derrick Rose, too, because this is going to be the first time he goes to a team that might actually give him a shot to play. The city actually embraces him, loves him, knows him, wants him. It's almost like a homecoming to him. Almost. So good job for the Memphis Grizzlies. And that being said, they made another deal. They worked a couple of trades. So their roster is kind of shaken up. And like I said, I mentioned that John Morant is getting suspended, maybe a whole year. It's definitely looking like half the season already. But the guy's got a bad attitude, and he keeps on doing things that he's informed not to be doing. Adam Silver's like, hey, this is going to cost you money, and he's like, hey, you've already paid me 200 million. I don't care how much money it's going to cost. So the only way to stop this is either kicking him out of the league or really stripping him a whole year of production. Make him sit on it. Make him think that he's not welcome. And then he's either going to change his attitude or he's going to change leagues. Either way, I think the NBA benefits from that. Moving forward to a team that I kind of want to like, but I just can't wrap my head around it. That's right. We're talking about the Pelicans. So the Pelicans got Herb Jones, right? They drafted that kid, and I think they drafted him 2 years ago in 2020. I think they drafted him, got the 3-year deal through the rookie deal, and then he come up for contract extension this year. So what did he get? He got 4 years, 54 million as a hey Herb Jones, you are our point guard kind of contract. Like I said, so this will be when the contract is fulfilled, he will have roughly 6, 7 years of his NBA career with these guys. So he's obviously getting paid to be the franchise guy. He's already been in town. They're keeping him in town. Good job. Outside of that, they picked up Cody Zeller for 1 year, 3 million. So Cody Zeller played the Miami Heat last year, did very well. I thought when they used him, they didn't use him a lot. So he's kind of an older guy now. He's a vet, but he's a vet that can help stretch the floor. He shoots pretty well. He could block anybody in the league. Cody Zeller stands 7'2" in the league, one of the tallest centers in the NBA right now. So that means a lot of things. The sky's the limit for a guy like him, minus his age. His age holds him back, but you put him in a new team, in a new environment, you give him some minutes, and he might just shock you. Cody Zeller's pretty good. They're saving money for Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson will be a free agent this season, so next year they have to give him the bag. They already gave the bag last season to Brandon Ingram, make sure Brandon Ingram wasn't going to leave town. And then C.J. McCollum through the trade, years ago they traded for him, and then they gave him the extension off of that trade. So he's still got 2 years, maybe three with a player tag. He may have 3 more seasons that's already committed to this team. So if they could just figure it out, if they could, maybe make a splash, make a trade, bring in a couple of new faces. All in all, I don't think this team has to break up. I just think they need to get a little bit stronger. They're in a pretty tight division, and that's their problem. It's not that they got a bad team. It's just that everybody around them has a better team. And sometimes that just happens, and it's happening to the Pelicans. All right, moving forward, we're going to go to the Spurs. So the Spurs are firmly in their rebuild. They started rebuilding 3 seasons ago, and so this is what they've done to hold the fort. Now they want to start winning games. Now they want to start showing everybody everything that they've been working for the last 3 seasons. This is what they've done. They kept their point guard Trey Jones 2 years, 20 million. Julian Champagne 4 years, 12 million. This is a guy that they drafted and then just signed him immediately as for a max rookie contract. So good job by that. Sandro Mukaluzin, I don't know who that is. I can't even say the name. 1 year, 3 mil. Maybe he's a European player. They're gonna take a chance on maybe. And then of course everyone knows the big news is they drafted Victor Wembanyama, however you want to say that dude's name. I'm not really sure. I'm not a very big fan of him. So I watched Summer League just because of this guy because they're calling him the next generation. You know how they always do that. We had Michael, and then the people after us had Kobe, and then the people after them had LeBron, and then the people after them had the Greek Freak, and now that's what they're trying to say about Victor Wembanyama, however you want to say his name. So I started watching Summer League, and I watched the guy the very first game. I thought he was really too small to be in the NBA, and then 3 more games come around, and he starts playing really good, looks really, really good, and then gets, publicity right off the bat. Gets camera in his face. They're asking him how does it feel to be playing in the NBA, and he said, "I think the NBA moves too slow, and they're too soft." And he doesn't realize that he's playing with guys that are all rookies, fresh out of college, and he's been playing professionally overseas for like 6 years. So he's kind of like looking like a vet compared to these guys. But he wasn't even the best guy in summer league, and he was talking trash about the NBA, and he was playing against rookies. So I don't know if this guy is going to be the future of the NBA like everybody else is screaming and saying and believing, but I don't believe it. I think that the Spurs are the worst team in this division. I do understand that they are rebuilding. I understand that they've been rebuilding for 3 years, but let me tell you something. Here's when all things went wrong. When they thought it was okay to let DeJounte Murray walk out of the door to go to the Atlanta Hawks, that was problem number one. When they let go of Jacob Portal and they let Jacob Portal go to Toronto Raptors, that was problem number two. The Spurs were rebuilding, and they did have a couple of guys that could keep them really relevant, and they let both of them go. Both of those guys are very well paid and very well respected on their new teams, and I'm pretty sure they're very loved by their new cities. Because I would have liked to have either fucking one of them, and you let both of them walk, so you suck. Good job. Congratulations with the Victor Wembanyama. I'll see if you ever win a title with him, because I don't see you doing that. Get out of here. Now, we're going to talk about the most depressing team in this division only because everyone says that they have a god on their team. We're talking about the Dallas Mavericks. You know, they signed Kyrie Irving 3 years, $120 million. How do you make $120 million in 3 years playing professional basketball? Ask Kyrie Irving. He's been making a living doing that ever since he's been drafted into the league. I don't know. Grant Williams, 4 year, $54 million. You know who Grant Williams is. Everybody knows who Grant Williams is. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you. Grant Williams was the guy that got head-to-head with Jimmy Butler in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. He thought that he wanted a headbutt contest with Jimmy, and then Jimmy smoked his ass and mopped the floor with him. So is it good? No. Is this a good sign? No. Did he come over and make them a better team? No. Grant Williams got overpaid. So also, then they give Dwight Powell 3 year, $18 million contract. Now, this makes me sick to my stomach because I would have liked to give him Dwight Powell like a, 4 year, $34 million. If I knew he was going to play for $18 million, I might would have max contract his ass 5 years, $60 million and been done with it. That's what I think Dallas Mavericks should have done. I think he's a franchise kind of guy. I think he's a building block, period. I think he's more than a building block. I think he's a permanent structure. He's got so much talent, can play a lot of defense, covers up a lot of rebounds, and he's a streaky scorer. If he scores, 6.25, you might have fun. He might fuck around and score 24 points by halftime. I've seen him do it. Dwight Powell is a really great player. He got highly underpaid, but hey, he wants to do it. Dwight Powell wants to play with Luka Doncic and wants to play with Kyrie Irving, and I expect him to be a starter. If he's not a starter, this team is not trying to win, and I've already been saying that for 3 seasons. I don't think Dallas Mavericks are trying to win basketball games. Every time I watch them play, every time I see their talent, every time I look at Luka Doncic, I'm saying, wow, they are doing everything they can to lose. That's ridiculous. Get out of here. Dallas Mavericks. To all you Dallas Mavericks fans and all you guys who like Luka, I am sorry for all of you. Which brings us to the Houston Rockets. Houston, you have a problem. What's your problem? I'm going to tell you what your problem is. Do you understand that you just signed Dylan Brooks 4 years, $84 million? Problem number one. Then, you also picked up Fred VanVleet from Toronto for 3 years, $120 million. Fred VanVleet is getting paid the same amount of money as Kyrie Irving. Does anyone hear what I'm saying? I think that's a major problem. It's a joke to think that they're the same kind of player. Kyrie Irving will mop the floor at Fred VanVleet 10 times out of 10 times, and Fred VanVleet might not even score a single point in all 10 damn games. Wow. Problem number two. Now, this is one thing that you did that I think is pretty smart, and I like you for it. You signed Jack Landale, 4 years, $32 million. Good job. You picked up old bones Jeff Green. Jeff Green has been around the league for so damn long, people want to call him Paul. And this is what you've done. 2 years, $16 million. Good job, Jeff Green, to be so old to get paid $8 million a year to be 37-year-old NBA veteran. Good job. I'll tell you this, another good job. You guys picked up Aaron Holiday, 1 year, $3 million. That's nice. That's real nice. Darius Day, 1 year, $3 million. That's all right. That's all right. And then Trevor Huggins, 1 year, $3 million. So you completely rebuild your franchise, and and during rebuilding your franchise, you went out and you picked up the players that are going to be your number one guys during this offseason. So you're telling me your primary offense is Fred Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks and Jack Landell. That's your new team. And you think you're gonna win, you're gonna go into the playoffs? I don't think you're gonna go into the playoffs. I don't think you're going to go to play in. I think you're the second worst team in this division. Sure, you beat the Spurs. Sure, that's all you're going to beat. You might get lucky and catch the New Orleans Pelicans in a really bad mood and Zion Williamson have the flu. You might win a game out there. But you are smoking. If you think you can go into the Memphis Grizzlies and play against them, you cannot. If you think that you can play against Dallas Mavericks, you cannot. And if you think that you can play against anybody else in the NBA that's not an average NBA team, so like, yeah, you compete with the Pistons. You know, you'll look pretty good against the Pistons. Uh, you might do okay against Orlando, which I think Orlando will tear that ass up. You might be competitive with, let's see here, almost nobody. I think you're going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and you spent a shit ton of money to do it. Terrible job. All in all, this whole division didn't do very good. Dallas Mavericks should have done a lot more with their money. Houston Rockets should have spent their money on different players. The Pelicans, like I said, they are holding money, so they have an excuse. The Grizzlies, they should have money, but they don't. I don't understand why. I don't know what's going on, but they got a major problem with John Morant regardless. So Memphis has got some troubles. And San Antonio Spurs, you've been trying to rebuild for so damn long, you can't even do nothing but spell the words rebuild. And that's about as far as you're ever going to go into this league for a very long time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up the show. I just finished up the NBA free agency in the last, I would say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the last 5 episodes. So, if you enjoyed the show, you like what you heard, you enjoy what you see, always feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're feeling curious, always feel free to cash at me, Erick Daniel Coughlin, hashtag Coughlin Pride. Have a nice day.